Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. And the journey continues today. It is March 21st, 2021 at approximately 4 a.m. PST. We've been talking about success and what that means and who is responsible for it, what you can do about it, that sort of thing. Well, the reality is you're the only one that can ever do anything about your own success. Now, you may not know how to do it, which is okay. The fact that you are responsible for it simply means go out and ask whoever you need to. But I do caution you, the people to talk to, once you figure out what you desire to do, once you figure out a goal that you have, doesn't matter if it's a long term or short term, talk to somebody that has successfully done it. Simply put, if you desire to be a millionaire, much as I absolutely encourage you to talk to your parents, talk to your family, unless they themselves have become a millionaire, they don't know how to do it. They've got theories, they've got ideas, but then so do you. So talk to somebody that has. Now, one of the reasons I personally look at somebody that's got degrees is because I've never seen a difference in the way they behave to the way the people that don't have a degree behave. People on the street and people in boardrooms all behave essentially the same way. There are different traits, absolutely. They're not identical people. As my dad used to put it, it would be a really boring place if everybody on the world were the same. The other thing that got me looking at it was this. I talked to a very successful businessman one day, very well educated, and the conversation had been rather intriguing. And what he told me was this. He says, the only difference between somebody with a degree and without a degree is the letters at the back of their name. But he showed me a business card that had 4 lines of degrees. And he looks at me and he says, you have to understand, I've got 3 more just like this at home with different degrees on them. Needless to say, this man had an incredible memory. And as he put it, he says, the thing with degrees is the only thing those papers tell you, that those letters tell you, right, is that individual had a great memory at the time he took the course. That's all he says it tells you. Well, with this in mind, I take a look at it and go, well, if that's the only difference, then why should I put them on a pedestal? Don't get me wrong. Absolutely give somebody credit for completing their education, for getting a better education than I did. God knows, I didn't get much of an education. I graduated. I did go through some college, but in all fairness, I failed college. On the plus side, in my eyes, I did get really good at ping pong in the last semester. Yeah, it was my own stupidity. I've got nobody to blame but me. I'm the one that made the miscalculation on how to handle the gift that I had. But it was not for naught. So, and I know I'm going to get flack for this. I get it from my own ex-wife. Education is very, very necessary. You've got to be able to read, you've got to be able to do basic math. As in plus, minus, multiplication, division, that sort of thing. It would be an idea to understand variables and percentages. But this issue of having to have a degree in whatever does not add up. If you're becoming a doctor, if you're becoming an engineer, or a scientist, absolutely, university is absolutely critical. But here's the funny part. People are told you have to have you've got to have an idea of where you're going by the time you're 20. The reality, from my experience, is that most people are in their mid 40s to late 50s when they finally figure out what they want to do with their life. Okay, before that, life tends to take kind of an odd turn. So the nice part about it from my end is once you've got an idea of where you're heading, do not give up. Now, yes, I'm doing something here. What I'm doing is pulling out little figures that I will end up painting. Okay. I have managed to get myself now in a position where when bills come in, they get paid. So here's what I'm doing at this point. Okay. I know where I'm heading. I know what I'm after. And today I've got a whole pile of things, which is normal. This is one of the reasons why at 4 o'clock in the morning I'm sitting up here in my office. Because, well, I was tired last night, so I went to bed about 10 o'clock. That worked well. I was up by 2:30. This is what I mean by I just don't sleep a lot. Now, that is not to say this is a good thing. Okay. Because most people don't function well when they sleep that little. But the funny part of the whole thing was I did some calculations, and I was just simply bored. I wasn't planning on doing anything with it. But everybody kept telling me, you need 8 hours, they need 8 hours of sleep. And so I got thinking, well, what happens if you cut your sleep without losing quality of life, without losing your mental acuity, your temperament, as long as you stay on an even keel and are healthy, what would happen if you cut your hours of sleep from 8 to 4? And it was just a curiosity thing. I get bored, I do mathematics sometimes. Most of the time when I get bored, I write. But I got thinking about it, and I calculated it out. And do the calculation yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I did the calculation. Turned out, you cut your hours of sleep to 4 hours, and what you end up with is gaining approximately a month and a half living time. Now, I do not recommend that you try and match the pace that I go. I multitask, meaning I've always got something else on the go. Okay, I'm always doing something, which is why I'm fiddling around with this right now. Okay, now, I got thinking, how do I go about this? So I took a look at my different interests. Because I will tell you, when you're looking for a direction to go, if you don't know where to go, where to start is easy. Wherever you're standing, right this second, whatever you're doing right now, take a look around you. That's where to start. Right there. There's no searching around looking for where the best place is. The best place is right where you are. Because I will tell you, trying to start from somewhere where you're not, you're going to have to go there, and then you're going to be there anyway. And therefore, we're back to square one. Start where you are. At that point, take a sheet of paper or an audio file or whatever works for you. Okay. And write down 3 goals you personally desire to accomplish. It may be easier, instead of trying to figure out where your life is going, figure out where it is. What are you not content with? Much easier to identify. When you eliminate everything you're not content with, all you're left with is the things in your life that you are content with. And rest assured, that will make your life a whole lot happier. And if you don't believe me, start eliminating the things you don't like. Okay, start writing them out of your life. And see what happens when you get rid of all the things you don't like. See how much more relaxed you are. I know from practical experience, I've eliminated my debt load, so the paperwork the bills come in, I pay them off. Okay, I don't have them hanging over my head. I no longer have creditors by the dozens phoning me up going, or at least that's what it seemed. I think there was only four or five of them. They just phoned a lot. I no longer have creditors phoning me looking for my money. Okay, which for me is a great thing. I frankly don't like dealing with creditors. And if you don't like dealing with creditors, that's great. Don't get them. As I was told by one person, if you really want to get ahead in life, do not borrow money if it is at all possible not to. Okay, another person I was talking to goes, in my belief, if you die with debt to your hand, nobody will deal with your body. Okay, because that's just the way they believe it. So their whole existence is based on let's not get in debt. Now, do I have a credit card? You bet. Okay, absolutely I do. Do I use it? Certainly, but when I use it, within a week I pay the thing off. Okay, and that's just to give it long enough to register that I borrowed the money and paid it off. Okay, by doing that, I don't worry about my debts. Okay, I sleep a lot better. It's been really a weird week. For the first time in my life, I have slept through the night for the last 5 days, I've slept through the night. So I started looking at things. Now, what do I desire to do? What am I not content with? And I've been eliminating everything that I can. I've been tossing, when I talk about getting rid of stuff, I mean, I'm either turning it over to somebody that can use it, or I'm turning it over to a secondhand store that can resell it and do something, get it to people that can use it. Yeah, I could probably sell things, but the reality is I can't be bothered. Okay, it works for me. And it's worked for a lot of people around me, because what happens is I go to get rid of something and I just go, I don't have a use for this anymore. I've gotten my use out of it. Therefore, it's already paid for itself. Why do I need to take money from somebody else? Okay, and this is why the message that I keep telling people, if you've got a surplus, okay, help the people around you that don't. Now, of course, there's going to be those of you out there that go, well, there's a lot of people on the street. Are you dealing with them? The answer is some of them. Okay, and here's why. If the person is on the street and is choosing to be there, which there are those that do choose to be there, or like some people that I've dealt with, I can think of one right offhand that refused to work. Okay, as he put it, the particular job was beneath him. And the reason I say that is I asked him about it, and he goes, there is no way I'm working for that company. So my immediate comment was, you're not hungry enough. So somebody like that, I will not help. On the flip side, I was talking to another chap, asked him what put him out there, and as he put it, he was a severe alcoholic. He'd already been, he managed to keep his rent paid and what have you. Kept his bills up to date. He had been through Alcoholics Anonymous 4 times and was scheduled to go back in that week. Okay, for the coming week. Okay, and so he says, look, he says, if you give me any money, he says, I'm going to drink it. Right. And we looked at him and went, yep, here's $5. And he was very confused. He goes, why would you give me money when I tell you I'm going to go and drink it? I says, because you were honest and you're already making the effort to get corrected. I'm not going to hold that against you. Right. So I do have a tendency of helping the people that I can that are doing their best to help themselves. And I do encourage you. And this is why I say, if you've got a surplus of money, if you've got a surplus of whatever, if it is not putting you to hardship, okay, help the people around you. And bear in mind, there's a real fine line there between hardship and luxury. Okay, now, it's not for me to tell you how to help people. Okay, it's for me to tell you, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Meaning, treat people the way you personally desire to be treated. Okay, if you do that, your life starts to switch. My stress level has come down to an extremely different standpoint. Okay, it has come down a staggering amount, which, quite frankly, I'm not unhappy about. So once you pick a direction you desire to go in, or something you desire to accomplish, start literally making it happen. Go out of your way for yourself to make things happen. Yes, I multitask. This is just one of those funny little things. The more comfortable I get, the more this happens. And I've been told, oh, you shouldn't do that. When you're talking to people, pay attention to who you're talking to. Well, I do my best. But the reality is, if I sit still, I run into all sorts of snacks. So I don't bother. But at the same time, I get a fair chunk accomplished. So right now, okay, you've got a goal in mind. You know to go talk to other people. Talk to the people around you. Now, whether that means get on the phone, get on Facebook, get on Skype, I don't mean get on and complain and whine that your life is miserable or that somebody did something stupid. Rest assured, there's a lot of people out there that are doing stupid things. What I would love to see is a site where people, what they do is go, here's the good things that people have done. Here's something remarkable I saw. Okay, for instance, I saw something that was absolutely phenomenally cute the other day on Facebook. Somebody put a post up, and don't ask me where it is, but it showed a gentleman rescuing a cat out of a tree. And it was absolutely priceless. Okay, the guy got up a ladder to get the cat. Got the cat partially down, well, somehow the cat wrapped itself around the guy's ankle, right around his calf, and was absolutely hanging on for dear life, trying to hold on to his calf while standing on his foot while he came down the ladder. Okay, all the while screaming at the top of her lungs. Right, the cat was screaming, not the guy. It was absolutely priceless because she's looking down at the people below and she is just screaming for help. Now, the guy was doing everything. He took his time coming down the ladder to make sure he didn't step on her feet because they had slipped down at one point. But things like that, where he went out of his way, there was nothing that cat was going to do for him. Not a thing. Okay, except maybe make him feel a little better about the way his day was going. Hell, the reality is when we work together, we can make this a better world, a much better world for all concerned. Okay, and the real big issue here is those of you that have the ability, help those of you that don't. Okay, there is always somebody in better shape, there's always somebody worse. Okay, work within your means. Do not overextend yourself because all that does is swaps one person being in trouble and may get the second person out, but it will put the first one into trouble. Okay, that came out backwards. You take a person that's doing well, you overextend yourself, they end up in trouble. And overextending may or may not have helped the other person. Okay, so this is why I say do not overextend yourself. It doesn't work well. Okay, you pick a direction, start eliminating the things you're not happy with. So, what I did was I've combined my interests. Okay, by the way, I do hope that I get a thumbs up out of you. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel so you can get the rest of the videos. There's a staggering number of them coming out. Surprisingly enough, and again, thanks to my viewers, to the people I know, to the people on the radio show that I'm on, thanks to them for the encouragement to start getting my ideas on paper, to start getting my videos out. The reality is, since March 6th of this year, and granted, that is only what? Just over 2 weeks now. I have managed to get a video out every day. It has turned out to be extremely cathartic. Okay, it's helped me a lot get my own head on straight, stay focused. Okay, I'm one of the most disorganized people, or I always thought I was. At this point, I've gotten pretty organized. It's still not perfect. Okay, I'm still getting rid of a lot of stuff I do not require. Okay, or do not desire, or however you want to put it. Okay, so the reality of it is this: you pick a direction. Okay, and by the way, that extra little book that I mentioned that I was planning on writing, I have started putting it together, and I've already decided on the title. Okay, even already decided on the cover for it, which works out rather nicely. But I'm going to be titling it "The 4 P's of Success." Okay, the reason for that is because of and of course, the danger there is somebody may come up and go and steal that title, and I've already got a backup, so I'm not to panic on that. But I've already started working on it. Okay, and I will get it done as quickly as I can. But I did some calculations. It turns out I'm actually writing 30 different books in 4 genres all at the same time. I think it's 4: science fiction, science fantasy, reference, children's, self-help, 5, and poetry. Okay, those 5 genres. Now, that's not bad considering the fact I was told by my parents that when I was just a youngster, I was diagnosed mentally retarded. My parents were literally told, if he ever learns to tie his shoes, he's ahead of the game. Well, I solved that problem. I wear boots. Okay, now, the important factor here is this. Doesn't matter what you're diagnosed with. Okay, you have the ability to start changing things. Maybe not everything. You may have things like, for instance, it is a bit extreme, but if you've lost your arm due to an accident, okay, as in it's physically not there, the odds of growing it back are pretty limited. Theoretically possible, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it. So you have to work around it. Okay. If, on the other hand, you are one of the unfortunate people that, due to accident or illness, has suffered brain damage, that, much as the doctors may tell you, will not work. And do understand something critically important. Doctors have been trained. Now, much as I've got my own views on things, doctors have been trained, and you do need to work with them. They undoubtedly know more than you do. The one thing that I find that doctors on the whole mess up is the power of the human mind. When your brain is damaged, it can rewire itself, utilizing the cells around other cells. Like, for instance, the cells in your nerves. The nerves have a specific purpose. What the doctors haven't figured out yet, and neither have the scientists, at least not that they've released to the general public, is that every cell in your body can be reprogrammed to do something else. So if the nerves get shut down, reprogram the cells around those nerves and run the signal elsewhere. And you can get things back. Living proof. Like, I'm living proof of it. Okay. I took a trailer hitch to my eye when I was somewhere around, well, it was just before going into grade 8, so I think that would have been probably 72, 75, I think. But in any event, I took a trailer hitch to my eye that damaged my eye rather severely. Ended up wearing glasses because of it, but years ago, if I held my glasses right there, I could not physically see them. Like I couldn't see from here to here. Now I've got 20/20 eyesight for reading. Okay, now of course to take my glasses off, I cannot see clearly the screen on the computer. But I have reprogrammed the nerve so that I can see. Okay, and a lot of that comes from simply understanding what caused it. So do not let other people's limits tell you what you can and can't do. However, let's use a little logic, shall we? If you are a heavy drinker, okay, if you're drinking what you consider too much, okay, or failing that, and this is much more important in this case, if most people around you are telling you you're drinking too much, odds are you are. Okay. But understand alcohol, when we take a look at people using alcohol to escape their problems, alcohol itself, aside from screwing up your ability to talk and your coordination, it knocks out your trained and learned inhibitors, your ability to cope. Meaning, if you're drinking to stop feeling, to help you cope with your problems, it doesn't work. I used to personally drink a 26er a night. Okay, now I'm one of the lucky few. Okay, I managed to kick that habit. I now drink once a year, twice a year, maybe. Okay, and when I'm talking about and at that point, it's a case of let's have a drink. Usually it's a drink, but it's nowhere anywhere. Well, it took me 10 years to kill a 26er off, which is so much better than one night. Alcohol does not work as a way of eliminating of coping with your problems. It really does not. By the way, neither do drugs. Okay, so get the idea in your head what you're looking for, and understand the more you work with people, okay, and I mean the people that are turning around and they may not be supporting you as in, yeah, let's go get drunk. Maybe they're doing something else. The important factor is not going, you're the scum of the earth because you're drinking. Oh, you're a drug addict, therefore you're useless. Okay, one of the wisest people I know, okay, frankly, has chosen to live on the street. He does not have a lot of money. Okay, quite often he runs out of money. But he lives on the street because of choice. Okay, he has tried living in an actual building. It doesn't work that well for him. For me, I would never desire to live on the street. Okay, I could probably do it if I have to, but thankfully I haven't had to. And now things have finally changed where I can't see it being a real critical concern. But never do I look down at people that are on the street. Well, aside from the fact if they're sitting down and I'm standing up, I'll look down on them. But I think that's more physical than anything else. Okay. But when you eliminate the things that you're not content with, and yes, I am repeating myself because it seems to work well for other people as well as, quite frankly, for me. Think of it this way. If you've got a child that is having trouble, okay, or a person that you know that is having trouble, and you constantly tell them they're stupid, you can bet your bottom dollar they will start believing it. Okay, the reality is this. Okay, the same applies if you constantly tell your kid they are doing well, assuming they are. Do not fill them full of garbage like it's taught in some places. You're doing fantastic. We're going to pass you. We're going to give you high grades in school. And your kid is still having trouble with basics. Telling somebody they're doing well and promoting them. Okay, if you own your own business, are you going to take the person that is doing nothing and say, great job, let's make you the CEO of my company? Or are you going to pick the one that's making the effort and putting the work in and actually doing something and promote them? It's the same idea with your own kids. If they're doing well, absolutely, absolutely give them praise. If they're doing poorly, point it out, but not in a volatile fashion. The best way that I ever heard it put was you minimize the negative, you maximize the positive. I saw it done in one restaurant one day. Somebody made a mistake. One of the staff did. The manager turned around and called the person in back, took them out of the public view into the office, was only there for 2 or 3 minutes, came back out. The person went back to work. Okay, whatever they did, they'd done something wrong. That was clear. Okay, but the same manager ended up fielding a compliment from a customer, and he from the counter in public, he called across the whole kitchen and gave his whole staff praise. And so, and he called out to them, "Well done, keep up the good work." Now, I'll tell you, the attitude of that staff was absolutely phenomenal. Okay, it's something you might want to consider in your eyes, in your business. If you're a business owner or a business manager, if a staff member does something wrong, take them aside, or if you're a parent, take the child aside. If they do something wrong, you take them aside, you make it short, you make it sweet. This is what you did wrong, this is how to correct it, and send them back to work. If they do something positive, or when they do something positive, give them public acclaim. In other words, congratulate them in front of everybody else. Okay, the other thing that I found is this. From my standpoint, and this applies to public life, business, social, doesn't matter. The most powerful word in the spoken language is an individual's name. Very important to remember it. It makes people feel better. Instead of sitting in a restaurant and going, "Hey, miss," or sir, can I get some service?" If you call them politely by name, you'll get much better response, much better service. You still may not get perfect service. There's a lot of people in jobs that, quite frankly, should find something else. Okay. Now, look at that. We have gone over. So we are going to wrap this up because we keep these to about the 30-minute mark. Okay, but we get caught up. So anyway, we're going to cut this short. We will be back again tomorrow. Okay. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.